What a day, what a day. I thought we were done for the week and finished up the Friday show. We were all good and went running 70 degrees here in Boston in February. Amazing. But no, huge breaking stories. The Trump White House banning a bunch of media outlets from a White House press briefing today. I'm going to talk about that. Russian flags appearing at CPAC today during Donald Trump's speech. So much to discuss. And this is all just like the couple of hours since we wrapped up shows for the week. So a lot to discuss. I'm just going to wait a second, let people drop in here. Super Chat is on. You can use Super Chat if you want. What else? Yeah, just so much going on. I'm just waiting a second to let people connect here. It is absolutely unbelievable what is going on with this administration. And I've got articles to look at. I'm going to dig into them in a second. White House blocks news organizations from press briefing. We also have the CPAC Trump flags, but they're Russian flags. Article on Daily Kos, brilliant troll hands out tiny Trump Russian flags right before Trump's CPAC speech. So much to discuss, much to discuss. Seems like every day, just about every day, there is something. I will be doing live shout outs and thank yous to any new members that sign up during the stream, davidpakman.com/membership. We have a coupon code, it's iVoted17. Let's just dig in, okay? So there are a number of reports that today there was an off-camera White House press briefing, okay? So you can have your normal press briefing where reporters go in, Sean Spicer comes out, and it's filmed, right? Everything is filmed. And then you also can have an off-camera press briefing where reporters are allowed in, they can ask questions, they can write down answers, but this is not an on-camera press briefing, okay? That's the context. CNN and other news outlets were blocked earlier today from attending one of these off-camera press briefings, and reporters appear to have been handpicked to attend. Lo and behold, it was the generally friendlier reporters or reporters from friendlier or so-called friendlier news outlets who were allowed to attend. The New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, Politico, BuzzFeed excluded from this meeting, as well as CNN. This was a press briefing that was in Sean Spicer's office instead of in the press briefing room. Where do we start? Okay, where do we start? I actually don't know where to start. Number one, if the idea is that you get more access if you're friendly to Trump and you get berated if you're not friendly to Trump, that's a major issue when it comes to freedom of the press. Because you could be a Trumpist and you could say, hey, press is free to write whatever they want. But that doesn't mean they have an unrevocable right to access at any time that maybe other news outlets will have and will be given more access to the president. The problem with this, of course, is that I've said before that if you look at some of the authoritarian tendencies that are going on right now, they are very similar to what we saw in Europe between World War I and World War II. Before you start saying, David, are you saying Trump is Hitler? No, I'm not saying Trump is Hitler. What I'm saying is, and there are a number of academics, including one that I'm hoping to interview soon, experts on early 20th century Europe, who are making it very clear that there are similarities between what is happening with Donald Trump and the attacks on media are part of it. The idea that you can only trust Trump, fake news plays into this, and now actually not allowing media outlets that I don't even know that it's fair to say that they're anti-Trump. In fact, I think it's pretty clear that that's not fair to say. I think really what we're talking about is they are applying some rational thought and critical thinking when they report on what Donald Trump says and does. So very dangerous in that sense. There's also never far behind when it comes to what's going on with the Trump administration and Trumpists is that things are happening that if we believe that Trumpists have a consistent Republican ideology, they should be really opposed to, okay? And if you think about, well, although I believe that actually the Republicans are not the party of free speech. Republicans talk about being the party of free speech. Republicans talk about being the party of the free market. Republicans talk about being the anti fascists, call them what you will. And they should all be saying, wait a second, it's really important that we actually have a critical press and that you don't see government stifling or attempting to influence press in this way. And this is a very, very clear attempt to say, hey, if you want access, you'd better, as Donald Trump has said in the past, write good. And of course, most of these news outlets saying it's absolutely insane. By the way, Breitbart News, a conservative news outlet, the Washington Times, a conservative news outlet, and One American News Network. And I call these conservative news outlets. Really, these are propaganda news outlets. I don't know whether, I've talked on the show about how the term fake news is increasingly used as a catch-all for news you don't agree with. We don't have to use it. Propaganda news, I think, is mostly fine, although we could certainly make the case that fake news should be used. Breitbart, Washington Times, and if you haven't heard of One American News Network, by the way, look into that. It is incredibly disturbing. They were allowed in. And the exclusion of these news organizations is absolutely insane. Of course, the New York Times is fighting back. New York Times executive editor Dan Baquette wrote, quote, "Nothing like this has ever happened at the White House in our long history of covering multiple administrations of different parties. We strongly protest the exclusion of the New York Times and the other news organizations. Free media access to a transparent government is obviously crucial to national interest." There are Trumpists who love this. Okay, and Donald Trump has the psychology term for this would be priming. Donald Trump has primed through everything that he has done throughout the campaign and since. Trump has primed committed Trumpists, low information Trumpists, those with the malleable minds where they'll just go with whatever Trump says without seeing whether it even matches their supposed principles. Trump has primed a lot of his supporters to fundamentally just not believe anything that is negative about Trump, right? And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Healthy skepticism about what media is reporting, to say it's important is an understatement, okay? Healthy skepticism of what media is reporting is a key aspect. It should be part of a media literacy education that everybody gets. Should be taught early on, middle school, high school at the latest, okay? But straight out believing that what your fearless leader tells you, and I use that term sarcastically, Donald Trump, is true, and anything else you simply cannot believe, that's problematic. And supporting the hand-picking inclusion or exclusion of media outlets on the basis of how friendly they appear to be is incredibly disturbing, incredibly disturbing. Super Chat is on. Feel free to send a Super Chat if you want. Yesterday's live stream had, I don't remember how many, but a record number of Super Chats. Also, any new subscribers during the live stream at davidpakman.com/membership, I will give a live shout out and thank you to. I already have two. I have Dale Morris and Corey Collins. Dale Morris and Corey Collins both signing up at davidpakman.com/membership, both using the coupon code I voted 17. That gives you 40% off. Membership is the way our program is funded. Now over 325,000 YouTube subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please do. And the 6.5 roughly hours a week of content that we produce, it's funded through our audience primarily through membership. Okay, so I voted 17, 40% off. Have at it. Thank yous and shout outs will continue. Okay, a bunch of people in the chat and in email and all over the place saying, David, did you see the Russian flags at Trump's CPAC speech? So I still have not heard definitively how much of this was sort of a deliberate troll. I don't really know the background, and I apologize. I'm just going to pause just for a second and block a couple of people for the chat. I'm really pretty liberal on the chat, on our Reddit discussion forum, davidpakman.com/Reddit. We rarely remove any comments or ban anybody, but sometimes people are just such vile trolls that we've got stuff to talk about here, right? I mean, we're not going to clog up the chat with the nonsense. So I just blocked a couple people, and we could block more, right? Why not? There's no limit. The block button is free, folks, all right? Okay, so we found out that during Trump's speech, right before Donald Trump's speech at CPAC today, people were seen holding Trump flags, right? And the flag has, it says Trump on it, but people seem to not notice that these are Russian flags. And at a certain point, somebody apparently realized it, and there's pictures of people going through the crowd with CPAC badges, taking away the flags. And I actually don't know. I only heard some of the speech. I didn't watch any of it, so I don't know if the flags were visible on camera while the speech was going on. But it was absolutely brilliant. And I sometimes I call this type of trolling brilliantly subtle trolling. This isn't really subtle. It's counting on the ignorance of the crowd there who wouldn't know a Russian flag if it smacked them in the face, which it almost did at CPAC today. So really funny. People calling this fake news. Of course, nothing fake about it. Absolutely true. There's pictures. That's it. All right. We've got a super chat from Isaiah Rowe in the amount of $5. Isaiah says, Secular Talk, the amazing atheist, and Sargon of Akkad are arguing over whether or not Trump's actions violate the First Amendment. What are your thoughts? I'm curious what you mean that they're arguing about it. Are they arguing about it on Twitter? Or where, I don't know where they're arguing about it. Okay, so we have a really great interview on our YouTube channel called, I'm checking now, I think it's called Do You Understand the First Amendment, or Do People Actually Understand the First Amendment? So the question is a fair one, which is Trump banning, is the Trump administration banning certain media outlets who happen to be media outlets that you could argue have been doing a more fact-based critique and analysis of the things that Donald Trump has done? Is that a violation of the First Amendment? First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. I am not a lawyer. I don't think anybody thought I was a lawyer. But in my reading of this is not abridging the freedom of the press in terms of limiting what the press can say. It's not a threat to shut down certain media outlets if they write the wrong thing. But there's no doubt that it's a signal that your access to the administration will be limited. So my non-legal opinion, having interviewed a number of experts on the First Amendment, is that this is not a violation of the First Amendment, but there's no doubt that it's a completely authoritarian action, okay? We'll see. I'm going to be seeing actually a couple lawyer friends over the weekend, and I'll see what their thoughts on that are. Anybody else that needs to get blocked? As I mentioned before, the block button is free, and I'm willing to use it. I see a lot of productive discussion, but also, let's see, I think Giselle Phillips has earned herself a block talking about locking up Podesta the molester. That I've seen. If I'm noticing what you're saying when the comments are flying by it at a mile a minute, there's a problem. Anybody else who needs to get blocked? We'll give it a few more minutes. I'm not paying attention to that all the time, but keep me posted on that. Okay, it's free, and I won't hesitate to use it. Okay, davidpakman.com/membership is where you sign up for membership. That's the #1 funding source for the show. I want to give a big thank you to Beverly Martinez, who just signed up. She did not use the coupon code IVoted17. IVoted17 gives you a 40% discount. You get 100% of the member benefits, but you pay 40% less. That's pretty good, Okay, that's pretty good. So you can use that coupon code. You get instant access to the bonus show. It's a members-only extra show. This is not published to our public YouTube feed. Every day we do an extra show called the bonus show for our paid subscribers. It's all happening there, okay? $2 super chat from Starchild158 doesn't have a question, just says smoke weed every day. Okay, so that's a message to you from apparently worth $2 to that user. Smoke weed every day. That is the message that they're sending over to you. And also thank you to Kendra Jowers, who has just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Okay, so we've talked about Trump, the Trump administration keeping out certain media outlets, understandably seen as less friendly to the Trump administration, from an off-camera White House press briefing today. I've talked a little bit about these brilliantly executed troll flags handed out at Trump's CPAC speech today. Russian flags that say Trump on them, of course. Your average Trumpist would not recognize a Russian flag, and clearly they didn't. Countless pictures on social media that I'm looking at right now that are absolutely hilarious. And, you know, people like to say, David, you're unfairly suggesting that Trumpists are less informed or more extreme or more xenophobic or racist or whatever. I'm not coming up with that, right? I mean, we have poll after poll that has demonstrated that, and it's stunning to me that anyone's even actually trying to make that argument anymore. I would think that they would sort of defend it as being okay or justified or whatever. But it's fascinating to me that people are still arguing, oh, no, there's nothing to that. Okay, couple other things I want to discuss. On Monday's show, I am going to be talking about more elements of the Trump blackmail Russian dossier that have indeed now been confirmed. And we first heard from Trump that the existence of the dossier is fake. Blatant lie. I mean, just lie, just factually untrue. The existence of the dossier is real. Once it became impossible for Donald to deny the existence of the dossier, he shifted to its contents are all completely untrue. And indeed, initially, we did not have confirmation about the contents. Some of them were very believable, some of them more salacious, like that Donald Trump is sexually aroused by urinating on Russian prostitutes, but it was all unconfirmed initially. But drip, 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 it all started to trickle in. And we have now learned that a number of the communications, the conversations that are alleged to have taken place in that Russian dossier have indeed been confirmed. We have also now learned that some of the allegations from the dossier about Carter Page have been confirmed, an oil executive and foreign policy advisor. We have also learned that some of the allegations from that blackmail dossier regarding Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's disgraced former campaign manager, have also been confirmed. So we're going to be talking about that on Monday. Okay, Isaiah Rowe sending a $5 super chat saying, any thoughts on the DNC debate? Isn't Keith Ellison the best choice for the future of the party? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I've not taken a position on this because I am unsure about whether Keith Ellison is the best way forward for the future of the party. Tune in on Monday. Okay, we'll be talking about that on Monday. Matthias Berggren sending a 20 Norwegian kroner super chat saying, will I do another appearance on the DP podcast? I assume Matthias is referring to Drunken Peasants, and I absolutely would be glad to if they want to have me, right? I have no fundamental right to appear with the Drunken Peasants whenever I want, not a violation of free speech or anything like that. I would be glad to appear. I had a good time talking to them. Would be glad to be back on. $5 super chat from user 777 Nightshade saying, can you ask your lawyer friends if this has ever happened? I don't understand this question. I guess, okay, so I mentioned I was going to ask my lawyer friends whether they thought that Trump keeping a few media outlets out of the press briefing is a violation of the First Amendment. So I guess the question is, has this ever happened? You don't really need to talk to a lawyer about that. You could just take a historical perspective on that. And from what the New York Times reported today, they say that as long as they've been covering White Houses, this has not happened. That's what the New York Times is saying. And I think on this issue, they're probably pretty trustworthy. Thank you to Karen McCunney. Karen McCunney has just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership using the coupon code IVoted17. That dropped her membership to only $3 a month, paid yearly, $36. Also, thank you to Gregory Lassen. Gregory, who signed up at davidpakman.com/membership just now. And using the coupon code IVoted17. Keep the memberships coming, and I'll keep the shout-outs and thank yous going. Okay, people are saying that Brielle Jones should be blocked. And you know what? Brielle Jones has been leaving all sorts of, it actually came to my attention, when there's like a major troll on our channel, the different people that help manage the YouTube comments let me know about it. And Brielle Jones's name actually came up in our morning meeting saying it might be time to hit Brielle with the ban or block button. And indeed, I have done that. All sorts of, you know what? I'm not even going to mention the stuff she's been saying, but it's pretty vile, okay? A $5 super chat from Ruel James. $5 Canadian super chat. Ruel says, "Loved your show. Was wondering if you ever take on interns and how one would inquire about becoming an intern on your show. Not only do we take on interns, sometimes interns get hired. In fact, we now have segment producer Noah Ferguson, who was an intern for us for a couple of semesters, and now he has been hired and is a segment producer and is doing a lot of background research on stories that we do. And so yes, internships are based in our Boston studio. We currently have a great intern named Melody, who has been doing a lot of great stuff, social media work, writing, really, really great stuff. To apply, you go to our website, davidpakman.com, click the contact page, and send in just sort of a general inquiry, and then we'll respond with instructions, and then you can send in your resume and all sorts of stuff, okay? But yes, we do have interns, and sometimes interns get hired, which is a really, really great thing. Okay, also on Monday, marijuana. We had a $2 super chat sent earlier, which said only smoke weed every day. It was succinct, it was to the point, but we do have cannabis-related news. The White House has announced that they're expecting the U.S. Justice Department to step up the crackdown on recreational marijuana. And there are major legal questions here, right? And to sort of remind you, we've seen marijuana legalization and decriminalization happen pretty significantly during the Obama White House. And the Obama Justice Department took the approach of saying marijuana is still illegal federally, but we're not going to go after or target individuals in states that have legalized or decriminalized as long as they're following the laws of those states. That's not the default position that the Justice Department has to take, right? The Justice Department could take a different position and they could ignore state law. What's amazing to me, and I've been talking about this for months at this point, okay? You have states' rights as a concept that the American right, that conservatives claim to love. But they only love it as long as it meets what they want, which is, hey, no federal restrictions on guns, states' rights, states get to decide. No federal legalization of abortion. Each state should get to decide and ban it if they want. No federal legalization of same-sex marriage. If states want to ban same-sex marriage, they should be allowed to ban same-sex marriage. But all of a sudden, when it comes to, hey, if states want to legalize marijuana, then they should be allowed to do it. States' rights, right? Right? Wrong. All of a sudden, no, it's going to be a federal decision that states are not allowed to do that. So that states' rights hypocrisy is absolutely incredible. Okay, so it looks like Brielle Jones has immediately created another account and is back. And I guess I'll just block her again. I don't know. Must be a different account. What's your opinion? If someone just says Pakman is a Jew boy, is that ban worthy? I mean, it's true. I'm Jewish and I'm male. It doesn't seem particularly egregious, but it's not exactly productive, right? So I don't know. I don't know how the audience is feeling about that in terms of if that warrants a ban. Thanks to James Scott. James Scott just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership using the coupon code IVoted17. That's huge. I mean, it's tremendous. We have the best members. People are telling me, they're absolutely tremendous. Also, big thank you to Eve Clements, who, as we've been chatting here, went to davidpakman.com/gear and bought some of our coffee. We have two types of coffee. We have an espresso blend called Progressive Wake Up Call, and we have a drip blend called Freedom of the Press, and they're both available at davidpakman.com/gear. We have a 15, what is R? I don't know what currency this is. Is this, well, I have no idea what it is. 15R. I'm curious what currency that is. From Fabrizio Aldone, who is asking if I'll ever speak a little bit of Spanish on the show. Yes, I've done it before. I did it on the last live stream, but you need to leave people wanting more. I can't just willy-nilly start speaking Spanish all the time, or it won't have any cachet, you know? I am genuinely curious what... oh, those are Brazilian reals? Is that what people are saying? I have no idea how much that is in US dollars. Yeah, okay. So I guess that's what it is. Before I move on, another thank you to Diana Rosario. Diana Rosario has just signed up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We have this thing called the bonus show that is available to you. Someone joking that 15 Brazilian reals is a penny. Let's figure out how much it is. 15 Brazilian to US dollars. Oh, it's basically $5. It's $4.82. Okay, so very nice. A roughly $5 super chat there. So we have this thing called the bonus show, and the bonus show is sometimes an extension of the regular show where we just have more stories, news stories, whatever. Sometimes, though, we get into things that are going on behind the scenes. Sometimes we'll talk about internal poll results, et cetera, et cetera. We had a really great story about polling regarding whether Americans are fearing another war. And we now have a majority of Americans who believe that during Donald Trump's first term, which may be his only term, we don't know at this point, that more than 50% of Americans believe that it is likely that we will have another war during Donald Trump's first term. And producer Pat and I had this conversation on the bonus show where sometimes we have sort of longer, unstructured conversations about what country would it be with. And we sort of came up that we thought Syria, Iran, or a re-engagement in Iraq would be the most likely engagement. So that's a discussion on today's bonus show. And of course, that's one of the many member benefits that you get when you sign up at davidpakman.com/membership. And hey, if you want a discount, IVoted17 is the coupon code. Kelly Limberg has sent a $20 super chat. No question, no comment. Just participating in the super chat for $20. Thank you so much to Kelly Limberg. All right. Upcoming interviews that we have. Yesterday, I sort of did a little preview on the live stream as far as interviews coming up this week. And just to go over that real quick, Mike Papantonio on Monday will talk to us about his major, hundreds of millions of dollars settlement for something like 3,500 plaintiffs against DuPont. DuPont, if you're familiar with those Teflon nonstick pans, there's a byproduct that is used, or not a by, there's a product that is used in the production of those nonstick pans that is a carcinogen. And Mike Papantonio and the law firm down in Pensacola, Levin Papantonio, representing roughly 3,500 at last count plaintiffs, and they have settled for something like, I think it was, let me pull up my notes here, something like $671 million in cash. Huge. Many people being diagnosed with cancer linked specifically to that product, that chemical. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, we are going to be interviewing Stéphane Guyenet, who is an expert on the history of obesity, dieting, diet myths, nutrition, et cetera, et cetera. He is awesome, and it's going to be, it's such a great interview that we're going to have to do it in 2 parts. And then on Thursday, we'll be speaking to military veteran Ronald Fry. I won't even tell you what that's about, but it's huge. And you should definitely look up Ronald Fry. The following week is arguably just as good. People are telling me it's going to be just as good. On Monday and Tuesday, we'll be speaking with Professor Marcelo Gleiser, who is Brazilian, and I believe he currently teaches here in Boston, or technically Cambridge at MIT, and we're going to be talking to him. We're going to do a 2-part interview with him. Part 1 will be about the concept of reality and how our understanding of what reality is has changed in terms of a scientific perspective over time. And then we're going to get into what science can tell us about right versus wrong, okay? Okay, I'm going to get to Bara Two Swords in a second, but there are a bunch of people that need to get blocked here. I'm not even going to mention their names, but we've got 1, 2. Yes, we are going to ban Sean S., who is just, I mean, it's just vile. Okay, let me deal with Bara Two Swords here first, and then I want to talk to you about trolls a little bit. Bara Two Swords has sent a $5 super chat saying, "Who are the young leaders of the Democratic Party who have the will to fight the Republican Party to break their hold on their legislature?" It depends how young you mean. A lot of people like Tulsi Gabbard. The Castro brothers are increasingly growing a following. I think young, when we're talking about the average age of senators, which I believe is, let's see, average age of U.S. senator, 61 years old. When you're talking about a legislative body, where the average age is 61 years old, youth could be someone who's 48, right? So it really depends on what you mean, but I think that the next year should be a sort of soul-searching moment within the local state representatives, state senators, et cetera, to see who there is that could be brought into the sort of national milieu, so to speak, political milieu. Okay, some people talking about me having a rat tail. I hate to break it to you, but this is my Semitic hairline. There's no rat tail. It's just that's just my hair. Okay, that may be shocking to some people. Okay, let me just do a couple more bans just for good measure. People really getting upset by some of the people that are there. Okay, let me talk a little bit about trolling. I find it a distraction when the channel gets filled with trolls or whatever. But I also really find it sad because, like, I'm a news consumer, you know. I turn on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. Most of the anchors I can identify just at first glance. I'm aware of who's talking about what stories. I watch some satirical shows. I watch regular news shows, independent shows, whatever. I think I've probably actually contacted any of these shows a handful of times. And I contact them because I want to express a view about a particular issue. And it's really pretty rare, right? I don't know what would have to be going on in my mind were I think to start contacting media hosts with racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic slurs, insults, or any of that, right? So and so when I think about it, wait a second. I don't even know anybody personally who would be doing that type of thing. You must be in a pretty bad place. You must be in a pretty sad place to be doing that. And so on the one hand, it's annoying, and we want to get rid of the riffraff because we're doing a show here. We're up to, I don't even know how many millions of views per month. Every platform is blowing up. We've got a record 400 new paid subscribers this month and 325,000 on YouTube. We're trying to get beyond the riffraff. But it's there, and in some sense, I do find it sad because these people, something must be going on in their lives where they think that it makes sense to be, insulting people that you don't even personally know, right? So okay, that's my brief thought about trolls and that type of thing. We've got a $2 super chat from Dunstable Ramsey, $2 saying sativa or indica. I never know if it's indica. Okay, I know enough about pot to know that that refers to the two broader types of marijuana. I think one of them, from what my friends have told me, one of them is sort of like a downer and one is an upper or whatever. I couldn't tell you. I've been pretty clear that I have no problem whatsoever with marijuana. I think it should be legalized. I think it should be decriminalized, et cetera, et cetera. But I sort of have the mindset that smoking anything is bad for you. It's bad for your lungs. Even if you take a banana leaf, right? Hey, it's produce. It's a fruit. If you start smoking it, it's bad for your lungs. So I don't really know. I can't comment too much more about that. We've got a $10 super chat from Felipe Garcia, who says, Spicer was asked about anti-Muslim hate groups tripling during Trump's campaign. His response was radical Islamic terrorists. What can we do to help bring this hateful response to light? Okay, I haven't seen that. Now, I don't know. I think that the term radical Islamic terror is actually a perfectly fine term to use. As long as it's only applied to the people, as long as it's applied correctly. I think that radical Islamic terror is a thing. I think radical white nationalist terror in the United States is a thing. All sorts of radical terror are things. I don't know the context. I didn't see that clip, okay? So I can't really comment on it. But I am not of the mindset that we can't say something like radical jihad, okay? I think it's okay to say that as long as we're not saying all Muslims believe in radical jihad, right? $5 super chat from Tara Drew. No comment, no question. Thank you very much. We also have a number of new members showing up here. Chris Beacock, signing up with coupon code I voted 17 on the website, davidpakman.com/membership, now gets instant access to all the great member benefits. Diana Cortez signing up with coupon code I voted 17. Brian Henney, I think would be the way it's pronounced, signing up just now. Peter Buckland just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Thank you. This is our number one funding source. And back like a year ago, a good month would be maybe about 100 new members in a month would be really, really good. And we have 400 new members so far in February, and it is only the 24th of the month. So I'm glad people are understanding the importance of supporting independent media. Nicholas Benny has sent a $2 super chat. I recognize the name. I think, Nicholas, I believe you're a member. Maybe not. I think Nicholas is a member. Have I ever done speed dating or online dating? I have never done speed dating. Years and years ago, I did have any number of online dating profiles. And yeah, I wish I had more to say about it, but I don't. And people also saying, I haven't done speed dating. Have I ever done speed? I have not. But a very, very good question. I have not. I have not done speed. Okay, a couple other things that I want to talk about. Looking further down the line, we have a thread at davidpakman.com/Reddit. So we have this Reddit discussion forum, right? And this Reddit discussion forum, it's free. And we have podcast listeners, radio listeners, YouTube viewers. It's a really great community, which is nearly 3,000 of our audience members are participating on our Reddit discussion forum. You can find it at davidpakman.com/Reddit. We have a number of different threads there. If you have stories to suggest for the show that you want covered, that is a great place to suggest them. If you have guests that you want us to interview, that is also a great place to suggest guests. And it's also just a great place to see sort of like the, what would we call it? Not the atmosphere, just sort of like the perspective of different elements of our audience. I find that people who listen to an hour podcast are very different in terms of their connection to the show than people who are watching a 3-minute clip, for example, on YouTube. And so it's interesting to see those worlds come together, and you have radio listeners and TV viewers and all sorts of different people happening there. And I encourage you to check it out. I think it's really, really good. So check that out. A few interesting things. Number one, the entire Milo Yiannopoulos thing from earlier this week has been a really big topic on the Reddit discussion forum. Now, the great thing is you can filter it out. So there's been like a dozen or so threads, different aspects of the Milo Yiannopoulos scandal. But if you want to filter those out, you easily can. Also of significant interest, a number of people posting already about what's been going on at CPAC. Okay, so we've been talking about CPAC on the live streams, not so much on the show. On Monday, I think it's pretty safe to say that I will be talking about the Donald Trump speech at CPAC and obviously what's been going on with the banning of the exclusion of certain media outlets. Okay, Vanessa has sent a $5 super chat where she said, "Why do you think Republicans are staying quiet while Trump and his administration dismantle America?" Okay, this is a very good question. Two-part answer to Vanessa, and in order to answer, this is such a good question that I actually need to pull up a couple notes here. Two things. Number one, Donald Trump is the perfect straw man, okay? Check out that video on YouTube. The Republicans have maybe been quiet in terms of publicly criticizing Donald Trump. Some have not. But Republicans have been passing a ton of absolutely insane stuff. House Joint Resolution 38, which removed basic common sense Obama-era regulations regarding coal mining. House Joint Resolution 48, which removed an SEC rule that requires oil companies report foreign payments to foreign governments. In the Trump era of the Russia debacle, we all of a sudden want to remove a rule that says if domestic oil companies send payments to foreign governments, we don't need to know about that? Absolutely and totally insane, okay? And there's a very long list of these. I won't read the entire thing, but you can check out the YouTube clip, Donald Trump is the perfect straw man. Secondly, though, if Donald Trump's approval rating continues to decrease, and if it gets into the 20s as we approach the midterm elections, you are going to see, no doubt about it, you are going to see Republicans jumping ship because it's really all about self-preservation for them. And if being quiet about Trump helps them get reelected in 2018, then that's what they're going to do. If denouncing Trump helps them get reelected in 2018, then that's what they're going to do. All right, we've got a bunch of different super chats here. Mr. Tate has sent a $5 super chat saying, "I heard CRISPR has green light to be used on fetuses. Thoughts? I believe it's just British scientists for now. Thanks for being fair and educated." Yeah, I have not read that story yet. For people who don't know, CRISPR is, I hope I'm explaining this in a sort of a reasonable way. CRISPR is a way that you can sort of edit genome, and it's controversial for a number of different reasons. And of course, we know that a variety of different constituencies have problems with different type of fetal research that is going on. I haven't seen the specifics, Mr. Tate, so I'm not able to comment. Okay. Felipe Garcia, $5 super chat saying, "Please look up Spicer's response to the question. Anti-Muslim hate groups are being equated to hating Islamic terrorists by Trump." Okay, I'm going to look it up. Absolutely. Fabrizio Aldone sending a 15 Brazilian real super chat saying, "Just wanted to say that the joke made about my donation being 1 penny made by a user sounded racist to me." Well, I don't know if it's racist. Okay, that's fair. Let's explore that. I think this is a good opportunity to explore something. So Fabrizio is saying that I said, how much is 15 Brazilian reals in US dollars? And somebody said it's a penny. And the implication, if we are to believe it's racist, I guess it would be that if you're Brazilian, you're not white, so therefore you're assuming any country that has people that aren't white has a currency that's not worth much. The reality is Brazil is actually relatively diverse racially. You have white, brown, and black people in Brazil. I don't know that it's racist, Fabrizio. I don't know that it's racist. I think it's just complete ignorance about the idea that any South American country couldn't possibly have currency that's of any value. And I think it's more ignorance than anything else. But I don't think that that's racist. I think it's important to only say Only call out racism when we can actually say that there was racism. Ham Toreno has sent a $10 super chat saying, will we get through this and prevail? We will get through this. We will get through this in the sense that this is not the end of the United States as we know it. Prevail, if you're saying, are progressives ultimately going to prevail? The country does continue to move to the left. So that definitely gives me some hope. But we also don't really have a democracy. Princeton study you can look up, which says we have an oligarchy. If you are a big corporation or if you are a rich person, it is much more likely that what you want to see our politicians do is going to be done by our politicians. So prevail is a subjective term, but I believe that we will absolutely survive. A $5 super chat from AW Admin saying, if Trump maintains his extremely low approval rating throughout his presidency, do you think he will be primaried in 2020? I see it as more likely that Trump will be convinced not to run for re-election than that he will be primaried, in the same way that I believe if it gets to where Trump might be impeached, he will resign rather than face impeachment. I have friends yesterday I was talking to about this who were saying Trump's ego would never have him resign because it's basically an admission that he failed. I don't know about that. I think if Trump, the question would be if you could get Trump to believe he was going to be impeached, then you might get him to resign in advance of that, okay? But I don't, I just don't see a real primary against Trump. Okay, couple new members. We have Kara Campbell. Kara, thank you so much for signing up at davidpakman.com/membership. I love how as the allegations that I'm a Jew gay cuck flow by, we actually have people making a commitment to independent media and signing up for memberships, the way Kara Campbell just did, the way that Bob Vachon just did, and the way like a dozen people have done during the live stream. Kind of funny, quite a contrast. But we do have a coupon code. I voted 17. Gives you a discount off of membership. Membership's the best. Long list of member benefits that are available, including a show just for our paid subscribers. We have a $5 Canadian dollar super chat. By the way, I'm looking for a weekend to get up to Montreal, and it's just freezing up there. I keep checking. I tell my girlfriend, okay, let's see if next weekend it's not completely freezing in Montreal and it's like a high of 9 degrees or something like that. Let's see how it, okay, they currently have a blizzard warning. Am I ever going to be able to get back to Montreal? I guess in the summer. Yeah, next weekend it'll be a high of 24 in Montreal. Not exactly good weather for walking around. Okay, back to Dunstable Ramsey. Where in the world can Trump visit without drawing huge public protests? Will international demonstrations hurt Trump in the USA or help him? Okay, so sort of a two-part question. I think that, okay, where could Trump visit without drawing huge protest? I think the Philippines. Because his buddy there, Rodrigo Duterte, the president of the Philippines, would just say, hey, if you protest Trump, it's going to be legal for people to kill you on the street, the way he's done with drug dealers or suspected drug dealers or even drug users. So I think that he could safely visit the Philippines because Rodrigo Duterte would say, don't protest because we'll kill you. We will allow the legal killing. Will international demonstrations hurt Trump in the USA or help him? I believe that they will help him, and here's why. There is such particularly anti-European bias among the American right in the United States that if you are already concerned by what Trump is doing, your opinion of Trump is already pretty damn low, and you're not really going to be influenced further by international concern or hatred of Donald Trump. If you are an America firster, if you are a xenophobic nativist, if you are a low information grifter, which actually applies more to, the grifter part applies more to Trump's team than to his followers, but a low information Trumpist, you already are going to see criticism from other countries as, what do they know? They're the people we want to keep out of here. So if anything, you're going to not impact those who are against Trump. And for the most part, you're going to just embolden those who already think that we should be ignoring what people from other countries are telling us. Big thank you, big thank you to Alex Bode Corliss, who signed up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. Normal prices, $6 a month, $60 a year. Coupon code, I voted 17, 40% discount, makes it $3.60 a month, or $36 for the year. This is very cheap, but the more members we have, the more shows we can do. And the more production value improves, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so please do sign up. Shout outs and thank yous will continue. £5 super chat from Stabby666. I was in London over just before New Year's, during our pre-New Year's break. Had a great time. I say this with peace and love. I did not find British cuisine to be particularly good. Went to a few pubs. Went to fish and chips. The fish and chips was great. Did some street fish and chips, and it was all fantastic. But the actual British cuisine, other than that, I did not find to be great. I had the best Indian food of my life, actually, in London, and found some really great spots. Went to a place called, I think it's called Dishoom, which actually had, I think it's like Bombay-style breakfast, and it was extraordinary. And then also went to a place outside of downtown London called Indian Zing, and it was really great. Okay, but back to Stabby666's £5 super chat. What would you do if your parents told you they'd voted for Trump? Would you send them for psychiatric examinations? Well, my dad is a psychiatrist, so there would be no shortage of people who'd be able to do the examination. Listen, my parents are super liberal. I couldn't even conceive of that. And David Pakman Show producer Pat Ford has talked about how, although he never really discussed politics too much with his family, that there are definitely some conservatives in his family, and that it basically becomes sort of, it's just that political discussions are a non-starter, and it's just basically not discussed. So it's hard for me to really imagine that. $5 super chat from Ryan Thorpe, who says, thanks for all the awesome discussions and content. And a $5 super chat from Ryan Couture, who says, what is your worst case scenario under Trump? I think the authoritarianism combined with the international ridicule are sort of the primary concerns, and we're seeing this every day. My concerns are growing today with the exclusion of certain so-called non-friendly media outlets being excluded from an off-camera press briefing with Sean Spicer. The authoritarianism is an absolute and total disaster. If we see that continue, you could actually start to see attempts to really crack down on media in a way which would violate the First Amendment. At the very beginning of this live stream nearly an hour ago, I told you that I don't think that what happened today with Trump and the media outlets is a violation of the First Amendment, but you could definitely see that start to happen. Thank you to Angela Harris and Benjamin Horseman, who have signed up at davidpakman.com/membership with the coupon code IVoted17. Every time I get an email as soon as someone signs up, and every time I see it, it is just heartwarming to see people value what we are doing. And now more than 400 new members during the month of February, the shortest month of the year, and an absolute and total record. Okay, $6.66 super chat from Nix Sousa, who says two things. I love the live streams. Keep it up. I would love to see you on an hour-long podcast, Kyle Kulinski's Secular Talk, or The Humanist Report. Yes, I know both Kyle and Mike from The Humanist Report and from Secular Talk and The Humanist Report, respectively. I would be glad to join them. $20 super chat from Miguel F. saying, hi, David, love your show. Do you have any favorite non-news related YouTube channels? The non-news related YouTube channels that I watch, I don't know if you would like them. There is one that is a drone review channel, and I think I've made the decision that if the David Pakman Show is going to get a drone, we should go with the DJI Mavic Pro. I recently flew one, and there's a picture of me. There's a picture of the drone. By the way, I rarely mention this. I do have an Instagram, and the unique stuff that I post online is mostly on Instagram. I'm david.pakman on Instagram. Please follow me there. I tried the Mavic Pro. It's not getting released formally until March 20th, and I think that that might be a good way to go for the show, especially like it folds up so small. When we travel to rallies or protests or whatever, we could bring it, and I think that would be really great. So I like that. Sometimes I will check out some of the sort of like aviation related channels. I'm interested in sort of like private pilots who do really good filming of their flights and that type of thing, but I can't think of really too many others. I do sometimes, I'll admit this, I sometimes start my morning just while I'm having my cappuccino to really get fired up. I combine the cappuccino with like 5 minutes of Alex Jones. I'll just look at like whatever video of his from the previous day did really well. And then I'm basically ready to go for the day. Matt080670 sent a $5 super chat saying, how do you respond to right-siders believing that you are a Hillary supporter or a libtard because you don't like Trump or disagree with his policies? Well, I mean, if you can't just say to someone, not supporting Trump is not the same as supporting Hillary, if people don't get that, I don't know. I mean, I would probably not deal with those people because seems like an exercise in futility in some ways. Okay. I think that's going to do it for today. Nearly an hour. Thanks to everybody who joined me. Use that coupon code IVoted17, and we will do another live stream very, very soon. Thank you for joining me.